Yes, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's about 13 minutes after 7. Thank you very much for being here. This is a meeting of the Village Zoning Board of Appeals. Our member Katie Silberger will be late today, but we have a quorum. My name is Vicki Danskin, I'm the chair. This is Ellen Rocco, member, Dave Cacamo, member. Katie Doyle Bunker will be taking our notes. She's our village clerk. And our brand new attorney for the ZBA, Joseph McKay. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, let's see where to begin. I have so many beginnings this evening. First of all, I would like to give you this. Please bring it with to every meeting in the future.
Do you have another one?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, actually, I can just pull it out of the book.
No, here it goes.
Okay, you're good.
I would like to ask you folks, Dave, you're not going to the flood resilience meeting.
Okay.
Are you planning?
I'm not.
Okay, so none of us will be
Well, I
attending.
think Tony said that he was going to.
No, he wasn't. No. I didn't, I understood he couldn't make it.
I will gently remind you that at your last meeting, you did state that you wanted to meet on the 17th. So I don't know if that's still a valid desire on your behalf, but you have to repeal the statement if you don't want to move forward.
Okay, well, let us do that before we leave.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that would be great. I'd like to have a motion to deal with the draft minutes of the August 11th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I would like to discuss the fact that they're rather thin. I think it has been our practice in the past to ask for public hearings without a formal motion, but we'll probably need to change that in the future and do more of our business in a formal motion mode. Okay, shall we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone here for the public hearings regarding 4 lots on Cooper Street? Okay, would you like to tell us which lot or whether you're referring to all of the lots when you make your comments?
Did we open?
Oh, give me a motion to open the hearing.
I move that we open the hearing.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Okay.
Name and address.
Name and address, and tell us which lot you're referring to.
So my name is Richard Webb, and I live at 20 Cooper Street. And I'd be referring to all 4 of the lots. So when it's time,
Would you like to come up here and talk to us now?
certainly.
We may have a few questions.
So that's it.
Please. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
You're a neighbor?
I'm a neighbor. I'm a new neighbor
Across the street.
across the street. I moved in about a year ago, and very happy in the neighborhood. My wish and my hope is that the homes are able to be built. Variances that might be needed, which I guess we'll learn more about. In the little that I know of them would seem to be within things that I would be quite happy to have happen. Be quite comfortable for those variances to go through, being as I do the house across the street. So that's why I came today to share that.
Isn't that wonderful?
So you support the variances?
I do.
Okay.
Great, lovely, lovely. Thank you for letting us know that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. We don't have nearly enough comments like that from time to time. So we're having a public hearing, which we are going to keep open to our meeting next month. Do you have some comments?
I do. There seems to have been some confusion in the processing of these applications. The board had originally received 4 variance requests, nearly identical variance requests, essentially for side yard variance. The applications went in apparently at about the same time that the building inspector issued his comments, but I don't know if the applicant had the benefit of the building inspector's comments. I provided the board with a memo, and what I've done is I've compared 4 variance applications that we received with the building inspector's comments and the variances that the building inspector has determined that the applicant is required to get. There are some questions I think that we need to ask of the applicant, and some more information that the building inspector might need. But going through the building inspector's formal comments, there could be as many as 6 or 7 or more additional variances needed, all area variances and all related to the side yards, front yards, and lot width and lot dimensions. But there are potentially many, many more variance applications that the applicant needs to submit. Now, my understanding is that the applicant did submit further applications, but they didn't make it to the board or to my office. So the situation that we're presented with right now is that the last time the board met, it acted on the 4 variance requests that were before it and scheduled tonight's public hearing. The public notice indicated that there were 4 variance requests and generally what they were. So my comments to the board essentially are a list which compare the application with the building inspector's review. And I've given you a list of additional variances the applicant must request. In memorandum received from the applicant prior to tonight's public hearing, they've commented on quite a few of the building inspector's determinations. And they've actually requested at least 2, from my reading, 2 appeals from the building inspector's determinations. The applicant hasn't filed any appeals, any appeal forms or any appeal applications. So that's an additional matter that has to be taken up. So my view, and I don't know if it's the board's view or not, but my view would be to have the applicant make their presentation tonight so we get a sense of what items the applicant may have submitted that we don't know about right now. In other words, cover the open items. Let's see if we can come to a consensus of what variances are needed, make sure that the applicant has requested all the appropriate variances, and if there are appeals that need to be handled, to make sure that the applicant has filed for those appeals. So all that having been said, I think certainly for tonight, you need to keep the public hearing open. There's got to be a determination on exactly what variances and or appeals are needed, and then the meeting would have to be renoticed.
Now, we have a challenge this evening in that how long will you be here?
I would leave as soon as possible, so I would certainly like to be gone by, when is Katie coming? Any minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
When are you
So
leaving?
I will try to stay until Katie comes.
Great, thank you. So we will maintain a quorum throughout.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Vicky.
Now, do you have any comments to make, Ryan?
Okay,
in regard to this issue.
a little bit of history might be in order,
Mhm.
and I hope these fellows will correct me if I'm wrong. They filed an application back in the end of July, I think it was, for these variances, and they followed the same application process that they had used on previous variances that they used on very many lots that were also developed in that neighborhood. And then after I got the application, I finally did my determination on it after it's already submitted. I made a note on my determinations that the applicant had filed the appeals without the benefit of my determinations ahead of time. And unfortunately,
You
when I
had filed the
determined-
applications, not
Filed
the
the-
appeal, the applications.
Thanks for making that clarification. And so unfortunately, we ended up in this little bit of a conundrum where what had worked in the past, I determined is not going to work anymore. Also, I'm looking forward to the opportunity of having some of the code clarified by you guys, so that way I can use the way you guys interpret the law in the future. So, for example, what is a rear lot line as opposed to a side lot line on a corner lot or on a flag lot will be very useful for me in the future with other applicants to determine whether or not they need a variance from a side lot line or a rear lot line if necessary.
Is that sort of thing something that we should try to have a workshop meeting about? Would that be
Sure.
helpful?
That would
If
be
I-
helpful.
If I may, in the first instance, if somebody appeals the building inspector's interpretation, then it would come to you. My suggestion would be that you could probably work with the village attorney to come to an understanding of how the code's going to be interpreted in the first instance. If an applicant disagrees with you, then that issue will come here. It's just simply this, the zoning board of appeals is not an advisory body, they don't give zoning opinions, they make zoning decisions if someone appeals your interpretation.
Right, and some of the determinations I made in this case is about side yard setbacks. And if I understand you guys properly, you disagree that some of the lot lines or setbacks that I'm calling side yard setbacks are actually rear yard setbacks. And based on how you guys decide those issues, I would expect that I would then be able to base future determinations on the decisions made in this case.
Okay, so if this board, I mean, there's one way to handle this, is that if this board has issued any opinion or decision on how to treat rear lots or sidelines in the context of flag lots and corner lots, if we have such a decision, then we need to find that decision and provide it to the building inspector. Because that will be a determination that this board has previously made as to what the code is. If the board hasn't already done that, though, it's your call. You're the building inspector, you interpret the code as you see fit and appropriate. So you don't get an advisory opinion from them, but if they disagree with your opinion, they'll tell you. If they agree with your opinion, they'll tell you, as long as that appeal is before them.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
May I just ask a quick, so are you saying that if we go back through our decisions and we have de facto made a decision,
Already
then
decided.
that would come forward?
Correct.
If there's no consistency or that hasn't happened, then we're starting from what Bryant brings to us?
Correct.
Okay.
Without making too much of it, the board doesn't issue advisory opinions.
Right.
You don't comment on the code. If the issue of, how to determine side yards and rear yards, that issue's come before you in the past, then we need to notify the building inspector because that's the way that the village code has been interpreted. If there hasn't been an interpretation before, then the building inspector has the power and authority to issue that decision in the first instance.
That's what I did here.
Okay, That makes some sense to me because we've been going on the assumption that precedents are not binding on us in our decision-making because each case is unique.
Each case is unique, that's true. But the building inspector has really a very specific set of questions, and that's really how the board has interpreted this before, so that he knows how to interpret it now. That's really what he's asking.
No?
And if such a decision doesn't exist, then again, it's his call.
And so this is a unique opportunity now because we are all starting brand new. This is a new board relationship, both to the office and to the building department and to the planner, and having active legal advice. So this is a brand new experience for all of us.
There's a comment from the applicants. Our understanding from our conversation last month was that you might ask your new attorney to look into this interpretation of the village code. And I understand the explanation that in a way that's not entirely appropriate as a first move. First, you would need an appeal from us. We are, as I understand it, not going to give you that opportunity. Apologies. From our perspective, either way that it's interpreted, the way we think might be a better interpretation or the current interpretation, either one we need a variance for. It's just either this variance or that variance. So we'll be happy to keep it a little simpler and just accept happily the building inspector's interpretation of the code and work with that. It was really only one lot that was significantly affected. The flag lot did not have a significant effect. It didn't need a variance either way on this particular interpretation question. So, well, I think that's about right. Yeah.
Comments?
Yeah, I have a question about that corner lot. And why is this setback, why can't it be determined where the front setback is and where the side setback are, instead of, as I understand it from last meeting, that there are two front setbacks? That if the house faces, if the front of the house faces the street, then that should be the front setback. And if the side of the house, even if it's a corner lot, faces that side, then that should be a side setback. Why is it front setback for both sides?
The way the front lot lines, the way the lot lines are defined in the zoning law and the way the front yards and side yards are defined in the zoning law state that the front yard is any yard that abuts a street or road, and that a front yard goes along that street even if it wraps around all the way around the lot, no matter which way the building faces on the lot. It doesn't mention anywhere in the definitions, doesn't mention that the way the building faces is a factor in determining what is the front yard, except in the B3, pardon me, the B1 district. And in this particular district, that's not a factor at all.
In the past, I think we've had some opportunities to be asked to make a definition or a determination. And it really seemed in making that kind of decision, we were taking over the village board's responsibility to amend the code. And these kind of things that are unclear in the code, it seems to me, should be dealt with once and for all by an amendment to the code. Yes?
You're looking for a comment? Yes, that's true. That's your function. So if an applicant comes and appeals the building inspector's determination, you sit as judges essentially, you review the code, you decide what it means. And you need to come to a decision. Obviously, zoning codes being what they are, there's always some tension. They're very long, they're very wordy, definitions contradict. So this board will sit and you will make your determination. That doesn't mean though that you shouldn't also, send correspondence to the village board and say, essentially, this is the determination that we have here. We see that this section of the code and that definition doesn't jive, and we ask the village board to take a look at it with the planner and village council, and you can even propose an amendment if you feel definitions don't match or things don't work well together.
Well, I just think that it would, I think that it would create a better situation where there might not be an appeal to the zoning board. If something like this were changed, that's my opinion.
But as we found out recently, it takes a lot to get a change through the village board. So we may be making determinations and then recommending code changes.
I mean, we can always give a variance to it, but, if it eliminated one more variance, that would be wonderful, in my opinion.
But I'm hearing you say that what we're aiming for is consistency so that our variances, our determinations can't be challenged as, I just lost the word.
Arbitrary.
Yes, thank you.
No, I mean,
Our two
we're getting,
favorite terms.
right, we're getting a little kind of off.
Yes.
We should probably hear from the applicant sometime soon.
Yes.
But just very simply, it's your role to make determinations with respect to variances and to hear appeals. And through the body of decisions that you make, you determine ultimately what the code is. And if you think the village should change the text of the code to make it more consistent, then you just make that request.
Would you like? Hello. Right here, please. Thank you for joining us.
We have adjourned
Quorum.
for a few more minutes.
Okay, thank you.
It's 7:38 a.m.
I'm sorry.
Everybody's voices should be heard.
Go ahead and leave through the door right beside you, please.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, I'm Amy Hannes. Michelle is here representing Floyd Defend, so I just wanted to comment, but it's not really gonna work. I thought I might be able to, but thank you.
Okay.
I trust, thank you, Michelle. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay, I'm sorry to disturb you. Have a good night.
Okay. Would you like to shut that door a little bit more? Keep the cool stuff in here. Okay. Would you like to tell us what in the world you have planned now?
I'll try.
Would you like to move that
Yeah,
a
in
bit
fact, I think,
closer so we can see it better?
I think actually I'll undo it from there and spread it out so you can get a little closer to it?
No, because then we're seeing it upside down. This way, we're seeing it right side up.
Yeah, but I put it right side up to you.
I know, but you'll be talking about it upside down.
Okay.
Let's just try it.
Can you maybe?
No, bring it closer.
Well, we've got it in front of us.
Maybe we
Right.
do and maybe we
Yeah,
don't.
I
It
won't.
depends on the changes made.
Oh, okay.
No, please leave it up.
Okay, sorry. And we're gonna get closer, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go right up.
Right there. It's pretty good.
Now, is this what we have seen before or is this changed, Dave?
This is updated from last month's to include most, if not all, the comments from the village planner as well as the building inspector. So, for example, David Gilmore, David Gilmore wanted to make sure that the drainage easement was noted in there.
I remember.
It had somehow fallen off of the plans that I had received back in 2008, as well as the corner clearances for visibility, that you can't have something larger than 30 inches above there. So David Gilmore wanted those items noted on the site plan, and so those were added. And then in terms of the variances being requested, there are the specific variances for each lot are itemized here. That's an update for clarity, so that each lot has its own itemization. And then
As you were conceptualizing it after our last month's
well, as we
meeting.
discussed at the last meeting, because we had a pretty substantive discussion about what would be appropriate, what would be needed in response to Brian's comments on our application, which had the benefit of his interpretation. So we responded, to everything, and I updated the actual applications as dated August 12. I was pretty sure I sent it out, but in any case, I'm going to update them again tomorrow. And I'll send that out, and I'll make sure that it hits everybody.
They will be updated in response to these
tonight's as
comments
well. I
No,
know
those
would need to be.
That's my confidential memo to the board.
Okay, fine.
I don't get to see those.
Confidential report.
And he'll have
Thank
to write
you.
another one when he has an update,
Okay,
I believe.
yes.
But in any case, you'll also get an updated,
These yours are mine.
the statement of need, that'll be updated as well to, basically, we're not going to challenge Brian's interpretation of the corner lots of the front yard, rear yard. We're gonna work with it. And I'm just going to clarify. So basically, I had an either or, because I thought you were going to seek an interpretation from the attorney, but since you're not, and now we know what we're going to do, we'll just strike that. So it should be clean when it comes out tomorrow, meaning this lot will have these variances requested, and this lot will have these, and it'll all be very clear. And I can go through them now to itemize and remind what we discussed last month, and show that it's all represented on the site plan. And yes,
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
Are you gonna point out on here what you've changed besides that,
yes, I'm going to walk through right now the variances being requested for each lot one at a time.
okay.
Starting with 5 Cooper, which is here.
Hold on 1 minute. Brian, do you think you want to move around and,
Let me move out of your way. You can sit at the table.
observe this, or do you think you would like to terminate your involvement here tonight? What would you like to do? Would you like to sit?
You have the right to subpoena whatever you like.
I What makes your job easiest, to see this now, as he describes it, or
At
do
this
you?
point, it's out of my hands. I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay.
I can't make any further determinations at this point.
And I am leaving.
You're leaving, okay. All right. Dave, do you feel a need for our building inspector to stay for the rest of our meeting? Not so much, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Just want to cut Cheryl.
Yeah, no, we can do this. So, 5 Cooper, we're asking for a 25-foot front yard variance from 50 foot to a 25-foot front yard setback. We're asking for a 1-foot variance in the 30-foot building height limit.
And you hadn't submitted any variance applications for any of the building heights. You're gonna do that?
That was in the list item. In fact, that one, it did go out of my office, but it didn't get received.
No, I understand.
So,
No, you don't have to, no, I understand. I'm just saying you submitted it. This is just for our edification. Basically, what I'm gonna try to do with you is go through my checklist
Yes.
and make sure that you submitted everything in your revised application or amended application that I have on my list. If you have extra, I need to know. If there are things open, we both need to work that out.
Okay, so how did you mean then that question?
Well, if you're going, right now, you're talking about 5 Cooper?
Correct.
That's fine, so you continue.
Right, one lot at a time, we'll
One lot at a
itemize
time.
it,
That's
we'll be
what
on the
we
same
do.
page.
Correct.
Great, so.
And by the way, in the memo that I prepared for the board for tonight, if you just go through, I've done it by lot. So if you want to follow along, you'll see what I believe needs to be added or amended. And then you can tell us whether you've done it or not.
Right, you'll ask me pointy questions if I miss
I
something.
will,
Good, do.
Pause after each lot.
Well, Sure, at the end of a lot, of each lot.
Correct.
We'll
I mean, unless
make
it
sure
goes
that
off, but other than
I'm
that,
on the
I'll-
right track. Okay, so we have the 25-foot front yard variance requested, the 1-foot height variance requested, and this design, we want to put the driveway into the side yard so that we can have the garage doors face away from the street. And so we would need a variance from the village code requiring that our driveway not be in a side yard setback. So we would like a variance to allow the driveway in the side yard setback. And I can give you the code citation so that you understand how it works. So that section of the code says that if your road frontage is more than 90 feet, then you're not permitted to have a driveway go through a side yard setback. So that's the text of the rule, and these are about 120 foot wide in their frontage, other than the flag lot, so we'll get to that. But anyway, this lot, 5 Cooper, is more than 90 foot in frontage, but we'd like relief because we want to do something we think is more aesthetically pleasing, more appropriate to the neighborhood, and face the garage doors away from the street. So that's the reason for that variance. And those are the 3 that we believe we need for 5 Cooper, and then I would pause and make sure that.
You really, really, really want to ask for that aesthetic. I mean, in the future, it's going to be facing somebody somewhere.
There is there's an existing house here.
Mhm.
This is one off Bontecourt View.
Mhm.
So there is a house there that we would be near to with that one. You're right.
And that garage door faces that garage door.
It doesn't seem,
That's what, their side yard?
Yeah.
They might also be a corner lot, so I can't speak to that.
well,
It could be a side yard.
Yeah, they're a corner lot.
Right, let's see.
I'm sorry. but
Yes,
this
we're
is-
here. So this is 5 Cooper here. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
that well
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And then that is the lot in question here, here.
Yeah.
So it's also a corner lot, so
Yeah, okay.
you understand.
Yeah.
I don't want to pause there. Okay. Did you?
On the building inspector's comments, he had said that the plans show a patio. Now, I honestly didn't see it in what the
Yes.
original plans. And he said that the patio would require an additional 25-foot side setback variance.
As I understood that, it wasn't clear enough in the first submission that 3 of the buildings are slab on grade and they have patios, not raised decks. Patios can be into a side yard setback or a rear yard setback without requiring without counting effectively. Because it's at grade. It's basically just
Yeah,
an at grade
just stones
improvement,
on the
and so it's not
ground.
a raised permanent installation that is addressed in the setbacks. So this particular lot is a slab on grade and it has a patio, not a deck. And so that cautionary comment from the building inspector doesn't apply to this particular design because it's not a deck, it's a patio. And that also, I did clarify that a bit in the updated statement. of
But the building,
intent.
sorry, yeah. But the building inspector's specific comment was the definite, he says, the deck or patio being depicted on the drawing on the south side of the house would invade the side yard setback at the right side of the lot. The definitions for building structure, yard, and open space, I'm paraphrasing, indicate that a patio would not need to meet yard setback requirements, while a deck would need the variance. So you're clarifying that it's not a deck. Got it.
It's landscaping essentially what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's that little
Like-
square in the back?
That's This.
Yeah, okay.
to the south.
All right.
So there'll be no cement poured, there'll just be rock and things down there.
Yeah, I mean, it would allow for, I mean, you could do, I mean, there's not going to be any cement. That's the easy answer. I mean, you
Yeah.
could do, I believe, you could do a 4-inch thick concrete as a sidewalk type patio.
Are you
instead of
doing
pavers, but we're not actually doing
No,
that.
that's for
Sorry.
the future owner to do.
No, I recommend against it, but
Recommend against what?
when I sell the house, it will not be into concrete.
There won't be any concrete.
He's not doing
He's
concrete,
not doing
he's just
the
doing.
pavers
But-
either.
but
I don't
It'll
do
be
concrete,
maybe
I
like a
recommend
gravel
against anybody
area
doing concrete.
or similar.
But you're gonna have some kind of rock
Yeah, so
material
just
or
probably
something.
stone, yeah, definitely stone.
Okay, but you are doing it, it's not something you're thinking and it's for the former, future owners to
No,
do?
everything are big.
You're doing it, okay, making sure.
Patio stone.
Okay.
The building inspector's determination also indicated that a variance would be required from the 100-foot lot width requirement for 5 Cooper.
Now, that was another interpretation issue. That was the.
I understand.
Well, what is
Okay.
this?
What is that?
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
And
Now,
we-
show me on the plan what he's talking about, please.
I have to refresh my memory because I didn't,
Oh.
this interpretation, it didn't make
This
sense
is
to me.
the,
So I apologize, I'm
this
not
is the-
casting aspersions, I'm just, let me
Building
read what I had
inspector's
written in
comments on 5
response.
Cooper.
Yeah,
Okay,
I want to know what it is on the plan.
so what I believe he's referencing, and he had, I think, citations for the village code.
Section 212.13.
Minimum 100-foot lot width at building line and other lot requirements in the village code section 212-13A. Well, it had a number of citations, both referring to his commentary and others, but what seems to be the definition issue is building line. So minimum 100-foot lot width. The width of the lot would seem to be the entire width of the lot, plain language. But I believe his interpretation is the buildable area, meaning
The
not
setback.
including whatever
Setback.
setbacks at the front of the building. But it seems to me like 100-foot lot width, not buildable area width,
And-
lot width.
Building line.
Does it say lot width?
All uses,
I
one
believe it's
say
effectively a
that?
quote, minimum 100-foot lot width at building line. There's some paraphrasing, but I'm not, I think,
That's what it
confusing
actually
the-
says here. All uses 100 feet at building line. So that means that the lot has to be 100 feet wide where
At the building line.
where the building starts, right?
What are you
So how
looking
wide
at?
is the
I'm
lot?
looking at
They're approximately
212.13A5.
So what's the
Right here.
discussion about?
His
Yeah.
interpretation of lot width in his
Minimum lot width.
phrasing. Minimum lot width seemed to be the width of the lot, not the width of some, the buildable area, the buildable envelope.
But what's the problem? I'm lost.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think it applies, because the lot
Well, let's
width
say it
is
applies
more
to
than
the building.
100 foot at the building lot. It's 120 foot for most of them, pretty much all the way through the lot.
So we-
From the building or elsewhere.
So we need to
But what's the problem?
talk to him and
Yeah, we need
find out what he.
clarification.
We'll get clarification from.
Right,
Well,
well,
let's say
possibly
he-
this might be
what's the
one that you would, well,
What's the problem?
well, if his interpretation is correct, then we need another variance.
Right.
What's the variance for?
You need an
I
appeal.
Appeal. Well,
Right.
no, we could ask for a variance on that section of the code, I
Wait,
suppose,
that's true. Yes, you're right.
if we didn't want to seek.
Well, what are we asking the variance for?
That's the
That's
question.
un-
I don't understand I don't understand what Brian determined.
We let him go 10 minutes too early.
But what do we need a variance for?
No, they're.
Well, we'll have another shot next
they're
month.
separate.
Joseph, do you understand what he's asking for? He says we need to, what's the problem?
Not yet.
Oh, you don't
Not
understand.
yet. I don't want to speak too much out of turn, but I think as we go through these, there may be issues that the applicant can go in, meet with the building inspector, try to clarify some of the issues, and then you'll know, everybody will know whether it's a definitive interpretation, whether the building inspector will require you to get a variance or to appeal his interpretation or not.
Right. We did talk about it, and
Okay.
we did not understand each other.
Yeah, but he also stood by the thing that he was hoping that you guys were gonna be able to help him figure this out. So he's gonna stand by what he said, even though he wasn't able to explain it to us. So he's gonna stay with what he says, but even though he couldn't explain to us what he was meaning, and obviously you don't understand what he's meaning, but he was hoping that you guys would tell him what he meant. It seemed like what he was saying.
That won't work. As,
That's what he was trying to say to you just before.
recall my comment about working together.
This is what I suggest. Right now, there's a determination that the building inspector has made, which may be before the board. So this board shouldn't be getting further commentary from the building inspector on that issue. I'll notify the village attorney. The village attorney can speak to Brian. Now, if the issue were not actually here before the board, I can pick up the phone and speak to him. And in other instances, I probably will. But since he's already made the determination, and I'm advising the board in their review of his interpretation, then if the building inspector needs some assistance with it, and some clarification, just so that we know whether it actually needs to go forward or not, then I'm gonna contact the village attorney, let the village attorney deal with the building inspector on it, and then we'll know. After that consultation, the building inspector may request that the board make a determination, or maybe not, but that's a matter that we're just absolutely not going to resolve tonight.
Right.
What I'd like to do is define the issues so that we know how to address them.
Okay. Good, well, I guess that's on your list of things to look into. I'm not sure how you would like me to address that one. We'd be happy to seek another variance if that would resolve the problem, but it almost seems like it's not quite, well,
We don't know what the problem is, so how do we ask for a variance if we don't know what we're asking a variance for?
we could ask for a variance and it would just be like
Or asking-
extra. It wouldn't like hurt or prejudice
Yeah,
anything.
but what could we possibly ask for a variance for if nobody knows what we're asking, what the problem is?
We'll get it
It seems like
resolved.
Monty Python skit.
We'll get it.
22, huh?
Okay.
We're talking about 212-13A5, minimum 100-foot lot width and 212-15 density control schedule, Schedule B. An area variance is needed to reduce the width of the building line. If the lot is less than 100 feet, your lot is 120 feet, I don't see where anything applies there.
That's.
Yeah, so let's get clarification, let's move on.
All right.
Are we finished with 5 Cooper Street?
I don't know, like, you guys?
I have a question. So on that last issue, on the minimum 100-foot lot width, you haven't either requested a variance or requested an appeal yet, is that right?
Correct, because we thought there was that it was going to be looked at in-house by
Okay.
one attorney or another.
We will.
We hoped.
We will.
And would you look into the corner lot, in your consultation with the other attorney? Maybe just to have them look it over.
Yes, since you said that you're not appealing, you have no intention to appeal that issue?
We don't have to,
Right.
but I think it matters for the village
Right.
code. But,
Understood.
it doesn't affect us, so we're not in that role.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know how quickly you would get a determination, or do you think possibly we should just add another variance where it is said to apply? We hate to do that because it seems inappropriate in some ways, but we also don't want to get caught in the middle of something.
Yeah.
Again.
I can wait on the reissue to give a little bit of time on that question. Would that help? Would that be
Well,
appropriate?
it may help, but as we go through this, you may be submitting additional variance requests anyway. So if one is supplementary or unnecessary, we can weed it out during the process.
Okay, I like that. That seems like good advice to me. I'll take it.
Okay,
So
we're
we'll be
finished?
adding that one.
I beg your pardon?
I believe we're adding another variance
Okay.
request to
Right.
5 Cooper because that seems best.
So what we have then is a 25-foot,
I know how to determine to address the concerns. I can do it.
So we have a 25-foot setback, 1-foot height variance, the issue about the driveway in the setback, the clarification that there will be a patio, not a deck, and then the comments about the lot size.
Yes, the building lot width.
Right.
Good.
All right, now, number 9?
Yes, is that correct? We're on to 9?
Yeah.
We're on to 9.
Okay, good. So 9 Cooper is the corner lot. And this drawing needs to be updated because it still shows a side yard setback of 20 feet, but I need to have two 25-foot setbacks, which means that we're going to be requesting a 5-foot variance. We had that, sorry. 9 Cooper Street. 25-foot variance to the 50-foot front yard setback. And a 1-foot variance to the 30-foot building height limit. And a 5-foot variance to the 25-foot rear yard setback. So those 3, and then,
I'm sorry, can you give me those 3 again?
yes, absolutely. 25-foot variance to the 50-foot front yard setback. 1-foot variance to the 30-foot building height limit. 5-foot variance to the 25-foot rear yard setback.
Do you have to
Okay.
specify which front yard we want a variance for?
Which front yard?
Just we have 2 front yards.
Yeah, no, we want it all. We
Gotta go by
do
law.
want it
We
for
wanna
both.
get
So all
both.
front yards, we would want
yeah,
the
but
25-foot, and the same thing with all
But
rear
it's
yards.
gotta go
So just
by-
a blanket.
Yeah, no, we have to put both of them. We want a variance for both front yards.
Yes, but it's just one variance to the front yard, the front yard setback of 50 feet. It's one variance there, 2 front yards. I mean, certainly to clarify to you what we're asking.
Yeah.
But I believe in terms of the phrasing of it, we're just asking for one variance to the 50-foot front yard setback for this lot.
For this lot.
For this
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So it's just because we have
Gotcha.
2 front yards and 2 rear yards, is it 2 variances? And it's, I think it's not. And then I don't know if this one also had the minimum lot width concern.
It does.
Okay, so that one we need to add that 4th variance request.
So,
Yeah, no, which is the width of that lot now, since it's a corner?
Well, it's like 120 in either direction. That says, well, it's 99, then it's got the curve. Yeah, 124 foot here, 124 foot plus there. So, I mean, other than that little
So you
bit
got
there,
more than
it's over
100 feet.
120. Yep, they're pretty much that size. This one's also
Yeah.
wider than, and this one's also minimum of 120.
But how do you determine which is the width of the lot?
Right? Is
Well-
it this or is it then?
Yeah.
Is it somewhere there? And we have skewed buildings anyway. They're rotated off of the street plan, you know, so.
Okay, 13 Cooper?
Let me
No,
just
no,
check.
Anything else?
Yes,
No,
no,
no.
it's his turn.
A lot more.
Okay, you go.
The building inspector determined, let's see. That under 21217B of the village code, that a lot area variance was required.
that's that, new one we're adding.
So reduction in the minimum lot area requirements for a pre-existing approved lot. The first question is a pre-existing approved lot.
it was all a subdivision, wasn't it?
Yeah.
An approved subdivision, so it was a pre-existing.
Right.
What was the, which is
This is the comment. This is, a variance is needed from, and he lists several different sections of the code, due to common ownership with adjoining lots. And so that issue comes out in several different sections of the village code, because the lots are all in common ownership. And if if they don't meet any of the minimum lot standards, then there are potentially 3 different sections of the code that address that, and you'd need variances from all of them.
We disagree with that interpretation quite strongly.
Okay.
So hope,
But this is a
hope someone will look into that.
subdivision. This is an approved subdivision that was approved by the village planning board.
Doesn't have anything to do with the subdivision per se, it's got to do with, how the buildings are put on the lots.
But it was an
And the
approved
measures.
subdivision, and then they changed the rules.
Okay,
Well,
were the lots owned
That's
all by
important.
one person?
They were all, from Richard Steffens started off owning them all, and went from him to the next buyer, and then the next buyer, and I'm the final person here.
Okay, no, I'm just looking to see if they
I'm the
meet one of
representative
the
of final people
exemptions. Okay, I'm just trying to see if they meet one of the
Well,
exemptions.
why don't I just tell you, there are 3 different sections that are,
That's right.
right? It's 212-17B, 212-53, 212-56A1A.
And what section of the code throws that into effect, those sections you just cited?
Well, I think.
That we're seeking variances at all?
No, I think the common issue is that when you have common ownership of the lots and they don't meet all of the applicable lot width, all the lot criteria,
Yeah.
that they're essentially grandfathered, except when there's common ownership. So here, they wouldn't otherwise apply, except that they're in common ownership, and therefore, you would need variances from those 3 sections of the code.
But doesn't that only come into effect if they're not buildable lots? Is that the issue? Or, you're allowed to seek variances without kicking in that? No? Hmm.
Well, all I can do right now is read back the building inspector's interpretation.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's an important one, though, of course, because it would mean that
Yeah.
basically you have a massive loss of economic wherewithal, which is one of the criteria for variance grantings. This is all not his created fault, the ability to change the rules.
The only question I have at this point is whether you're seeking an appeal of the building inspector's interpretation on those 3 sections of the code.
So we might be beginning to start appealing, as opposed
What's
to
the process of
just
appealing?
working with his
It's an
interpretations,
application.
because
It's
he has
an application.
substantive interpretations which are damaging to you.
And by the way, I'm not trying to make this overly complicated for you, but the only way we can get through this is if we have an accurate list of all the open issues.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I have to object to this whole proceeding at this point, because it seems, based on what I'm hearing right now, we might just have to seek legal counsel at this point.
You want to keep going with the appeals of anything as a substantive
At this
damage?
point, it seems like it's, I mean,
It was
I'm
a
just a
longer
representative for the owners at this point, this
Look,
the financial hardship that the village is doing overall to everything here.
Yeah.
I don't think this is in my hands anymore, and I've already been pulled off the project, so. I'm going to Gardner, they invited me there.
You have to understand, that no determinations have been made about anything.
I know, but the process is now getting way, I started subdivision, I've built 15 lots, I think I've done a great thing for this village. I don't think anybody's ever did anything as good for New Paltz Village by building the first ever energy development in the world, in this community. I've got no recognition, no acknowledgement from this village through the whole thing. People put up millions of dollars of money to do this, to back me in this project I had here. And all I get to report back to them all the time is these problems after problems after problems. And I just, I have other things to do, I can't keep coming back to meetings. This is now coming to a point where this is, either the village is gonna have to sit down and make a decision of what they're doing once for all, to let me finish the subdivision, and just build it on out without making me now one site plan review on something that was extensively reviewed and planned during the whole subdivision process. drawing another line out, rezoning, the steps and things now have to peel, now have to go to variance, now have to go for site plan review, and now there's a whole process that's just taking way too much energy and time. So the people that are putting
I
up
can't
the
tell,
money.
I can't tell you what to do.
No, I'm just saying that
All I can say is that you submitted the applications 30 days ago. The board's already heard you twice. We're trying to go through the items one by one so that
Right.
you know.
Well,
what
the
you
board's
need to
heard
do.
me many times, because I went for another 10 variances, and we never had a building inspector come up with so many things that we just, number one, they don't understand, number two, I don't
The other
understand.
thing is, honestly, his confidence in his interpretation, he almost seems like he was expecting to have backup, but instead it like has to go through another process, which is putting him through another
Ringer.
twist. Yeah, so we understand your position. And, you know, there's just some logistics on our end as well.
I'm wondering, even if you decide that you need to close this out, would it be helpful to continue this process so you know when you've slept on it, exactly what is necessary?
Now, personally, I agree with Anthony. We went through the first, how many, and we didn't have all this problem. Now, all of a sudden, tonight, we have all of these problems.
No, all of
And
these.
I don't
all
quite
of these
understand
were-
it.
All of these were available to the board at the last meeting. All of the building inspector's comments were available to the board. The building inspector laid these out
Right.
one by one by one by one.
Mhm.
The problem, respectfully, is that the 4 applications were made before the building inspector issued these points.
The problem is more to the case is that these were never problems.
These
So all of a
are,
sudden, you have this list of problems that you got from the building inspector that we've never, any of us have encountered before. And the last 10 times I've been before
I
ZBA,
don't know.
never heard of these things.
Respectfully, they were all, apparently you seem to be aware of them, and they were all.
We discussed them
since the
last
last-
month, you weren't here, but
Right.
Most,
Mhm.
all these members were
Did
here.
we go-
We
did you
discussed
go through
every
each
point
one?
that Brian brought up.
Okay, all right, so then.
Yeah.
then-
And we all thought we were going to interpret, and we thought we were going to go interpretation, you were going to say, oh, this
We
is
thought you had
ridiculous,
more
this is
homework to do.
ridiculous, and this is ridiculous, and now we're going to get that.
Well, if
We
somebody
were
wanted
expecting
me
you to
to-
ride in on the white horse and answer all their questions.
I don't know, I just have the white hair, not the white horse, so. Well,
Right.
look, why don't we just, we spent a lot of time, everybody spent a lot of time. Let's just kind of go through the checklist. Actually, I think we're through most of it.
Right, we're about
almost-
halfway
We're about
through.
85% of the way through.
So let's go through it, then it'll be crystal clear to you and to us, and you can decide what you want to do and take it from there.
Well, I have a question. That last item, which was the, you have to, basically, you have to put lots together to make buildable lots. You have to like lose one out of those 4 to make 3 buildable lots or
Or
similar.
variances.
I mean, that wasn't said, but that's what it means. In order to comply with that without appealing.
So
Does
that,
that
More
affect
variances.
all of the lots? Or does it, because you only mentioned it for 9 Cooper, did that affect 5 Cooper? Because it seems like it would. Maybe I don't understand what the trigger was.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't specifically see that that's an interpretation from the building inspector on 5.
Do you understand what the trigger was for 9 Cooper that wasn't there for 5 Cooper?
He forgot to write it on the other 3.
But he did write it on other, well, we'll get through them. But I think he wrote it on one other one,
Yeah.
possibly, I don't remember exactly. But not all of them uniformly.
Not the distance.
So again, I didn't understand what the trigger was because it didn't seem to make sense within the documentation.
Well,
I
trigger
received.
should be a 5 Cooper before all the rest. It's a small problem.
That's a point. It is, in fact, that's the one existing non-conforming lot that's slightly underneath the 15,000 square foot, but it's existing
you're
and
not,
approved.
you're not contemplating subdividing and changing the lot lines.
No, we don't want to, but that would be a response to this point brought up
On-
about 9 Cooper.
Yeah,
That
understood.
The only way to resolve it, well, you own all the lots.
Yeah.
You'll just make 3 out of 4 and accept the economic loss, but that's not really gonna
no,
happen.
that.
And that
And that's not reasonable to
and-
request either.
And it would give you a couple of months of process.
That's not right. That's not
Yeah,
right.
I think
Well, we have-
more likely he'll take a big break from this project while the village gets its.
But so let's slow
We're
it
trying
down
to do
here,
good work,
you know,
of course.
there would have been 4 more houses on the tax roll.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
You know,
Wait a minute. The building inspector has issued pages of determinations on the application. You need to go through them. If you disagree with them, you need to seek a variance or you need to appeal. The
But he
board
said
can't
tonight
just,
he wanted
please,
advice from you guys.
please. The board can't just sit here before an application or an appeal is filed and say, oh, we're not gonna do that, that's ridiculous. You can't. They have, if there's an appeal, they must file the form, it comes to the board, there's a public hearing, there's a public notice, and then the board reviews the law and makes the determination. I understand that there are a lot of them, but the simple fact is it's one proceeding. As long as we have everything accounted for, there'll be one decision.
What I'm trying to make the point is the building inspector just publicly said that he was here tonight to try and hopefully get guidance in if his determinations are correct or not. Because he doesn't even know himself if they're
I
correct.
think I've said a few times now that I recommended to the building inspector that he contact the village attorney to take a look at it. The building inspector may issue revised comments. I don't know that. All this, I've been the ZBA attorney an hour and a half. You know, we're trying to get through this.
That was the last item on 9 Cooper.
And the
wasn't
building inspector should have stayed
That
there.
was the last.
Yes,
the
okay,
last-
well,
No,
let's
he
just get
needs to
through
talk with
this.
the attorney.
it? Good,
He can talk with the village attorney,
right.
and it can come before us.
Right, exactly.
Correct.
Okay, 9 Cooper, we have anything more to add after what?
No, and to summarize, I think 5 Cooper has 3 variance requests and 1 appeal. 9 Cooper has 3 variance requests and 2 appeals thus far. If we go through it, that's the count.
And the appeals are?
1 would be the minimum lot width
Right.
interpretation that
And-
applies to both 5 and 9 Cooper.
Uh-huh.
And then the, I guess effectively needing to put all the lots together or something to make a real
Changing the lot line.
Yeah, requiring that would then be site plan review, that would be a whole big.
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal.
It's not
It's a big
happening.
deal.
But that would be an appeal then, because we wouldn't want to go through what that implies. Okay, on to 13 Cooper. Right? Right. So this is also a slab on grade house with a patio. This is the flag lot that's over here. So, the flag lot, yeah, so it
Gotcha.
has a, right opposite Taylor Street, and then it comes into this kind of landlocked lot, and you can see here, it's kind of the middle of these 8 lots here.
Oh, okay,
That's why
gotcha.
they call it a flag lot.
I see how, I see the
Yeah,
flag.
the pole and the flag
The pole
coming
and
out.
flag, yeah.
That's right.
We have those on church.
So what's he saying? That it has 2 side lots and 2 rear lots? And a front lot?
Is he saying it has 5 lines?
What?
Is he, wait, hold on, is this saying that there are 5 lot lines? It has
Sort
2
of.
side lines, 2 rear lines, and a front line. That's 5.
What's he
So,
talking
so
about?
his, so the interpretation that he's got is that the 50-foot front yard is kind of, is taken up in the pole of the flag lot.
The driveway,
Yeah, so the front yard setback is in here, it doesn't in a way apply to a flag lot.
Okay.
Right, because it's within this, 120-foot long pole
Okay,
of the
yeah.
flag lot. And so then he was saying, I believe, and again, I'm trying to do an honest
Oh, I
interpretation, so
get
I've got it right. So
Yeah.
he's saying if this is like where the front yard is, then that's a rear yard, that's a rear yard, and this is a side yard, and this is a side yard. I believe that's what his determination was. And that doesn't actually affect us negatively. It seems an oddity to me, and not supported by the language of the village code. But we're not contesting it because we don't have to, and we're not trying to cause trouble.
Well, then you're not asking for a variance on that.
applicant did not
Not on the
submit-
rear yard or side yard. No, that issue of,
The applicant-
you're right, that, we don't have a problem with that issue. So to itemize what we are asking for, on 13 Cooper Street, we're asking for a 25-foot variance on the 50-foot front yard setback.
What?
I guess we don't have to.
No, we don't have
You wanted to ask for them on all.
Yeah, we just, we meant to
Basically,
drop that one.
because, okay, should we drop?
Yeah, we meant to drop that one.
Okay, yeah, just,
We
yeah.
were filling out the applications and in a hurry because we had a deadline.
All right.
So you have
we're
nothing
done.
on that.
So we have a 1-foot variance
Oh,
to the 30-foot building height limit.
That's on all of them.
Actually, the 17 Cooper has a larger, requesting a 6-foot, so we'll get to that. But, so that's the only one on our list at this point now, is the 1-foot height variance. And then Joe might have some other commentary.
No more comments.
Oh, all right. Okay. Got this right. On the 17 Cooper. So 17 Cooper is here. And we adjusted the plan slightly so that this driveway would not be in the side yard, so we would not have to ask for that particular variance.
Okay.
This one is a 2-story with cellar, so it has a deck, but the deck is specifically, it's not intruding into a side yard. It's within the, it's counted for in what is requested for variances. So we are requesting a 25-foot variance to the 50-foot front yard setback and a 6-foot variance to the 30-foot building height limit. And I can explain why this one's a 5-foot higher variance request. So this one has, this is this property here. And of the 4 lots, it's the only one that really allows for a walkout basement, which is a real benefit. And so we like to put them in, but the others are just slab on grades. Anyway,
Is that elevation lower than the other 3?
well, it's sloping this way, like the uphill is
Oh,
here
oh, okay.
and downhill is over here.
Oh.
So it's sloping like this, and so the walkout is towards the west, towards the view. I mean, it won't be a basement with a view, but it'll still have daylighting there, which is pleasant.
Is it gonna have like Bilco doors, or is it going to have?
No, we'll have a
French
patio
doors?
door, a 6-foot slider, and then a couple of windows, and some of it depended on whether we could get the variance. So the, and I
Yeah, that
the
sounds like
elevations.
you're
I showed you
making
the
something
elevations
that's
last
kind of
time.
habitable. That sounds like a basement that could become,
Any
It is
basement is
yes.
habitable.
It's habitable. It's a cellar by definition, in terms of building code, in terms of being more than 50% underground. That's the difference between cellar and basement for
okay.
purposes of building code determinations. And we need to keep it to a 2.5-story, because we're not doing a 3-story.
And you're nervous that it seems like student housing?
Yeah, we went
Or
over
that
that
it becomes
last
a rental.
Right, that's the
Yeah.
point.
They're kind of high-end.
We went over this last time, didn't we?
They're
Yeah.
$500,000 homes. Those don't really become student rentals too quickly.
This is New Paltz.
This is no fault, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
Or they become Airbnbs.
You mean if they have a walkout basement, if they have like a habitable lower level, they're more likely to be?
I think they could easily become an Airbnb.
But those are permitted by code. I mean, this is, we're not like trying to do
Right,
anything
we don't
unusual.
need, we don't
That's
need
almost
to deal
a,
with that, that was just a.
they would need to get an accessory apartment
Mhm.
to have an apartment. They'd have to do a whole special use permit and something else, but we're not seeking that.
No.
Okay.
And others in the development have a
Hasn't
walkout
this area
basement,
been
like
zoned
Rich
no
who was
students?
here, Rich Webb from 20 Cooper, he's got a walkout basement.
Hasn't this area been zoned no students?
Sure. No,
They
no.
tried.
It's always interesting to us in regard to potential rentals, but that's something that is in the future. So,
But anyway.
what else do we have? We have 25-foot, 6-foot height. What else are you proposing?
That's all I have, and then Joe would.
Joe has others.
Further.
Well, on the building inspector determined that it would need a variance from the 50-foot front yard
Yep.
setback
Mhm.
to 1213.
Did that.
Doesn't explain it, but he indicates a variance from section 21215, Schedule B. I'm not sure what that comment means yet. And a variance from 21217A for the minimum lot requirements.
So we need to add that appeal, the
Minimum
100 foot.
lot.
So it's 3 out of the 4 got hit with the 100-foot minimum lot width question. Okay. Anything else on that?
There was just there was a comment that I didn't necessarily understand. So the building inspector stated that the house and possibly a deck would invade the front yard setback. Can you show, is that
Yes,
not the
absolutely.
case,
So that's,
or-
It would be addressed by the front yard variance that we're requesting. The 25-foot would allow for, this is the deck, this is the front porch, this is the garage and the breezeway, and then the main house. So if, with the front yard variance, everything would be well within the buildable area created.
With the
The
25-foot
expanded, yes,
approval.
that's right. And so addressing the deck on this one house that would need also to be added, side. Well, there it is.
I don't have anything else for 17.
All right. So we'll be continuing until next month, and I guess the various of us have homework to do on, so I can update, plan, the applications and the statement of need and forward those off to you. It would be nice to have feedback. We aren't going to have feedback in a timely fashion. We should do the appeals, and we can talk, obviously, in-house, but that's what we would need to do. We would want to appeal the, I guess you'd call it 4. 13 Cooper doesn't have an appeal. Anyway, but I'll give you the tabulation I have. So I have for 5 Cooper, 3 variances, 1 appeal, 9 Cooper, 3 variances, 2 appeals, 13 Cooper, 1 variance, 17 Cooper, 2 variances, and 1 appeal.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
That's right. So I think that's everything that we needed to discuss this evening. And we need to get back to you in a timely fashion in terms of noticing the public hearing for next month.
Yes, and
It has
you'll
to
be
based
dealing
on
with Katie.
the accurate requests.
Okay, and Katie will help you with that. And what we need now is a motion to continue this public
So
hearing.
move.
Second. Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry to do Contact me first, and then we have to send everything where it needs to.
Copy of this meeting here, so we can actually watch the video.
Variance request for this?
Sure, you could call me in the morning.
wasn't enough.
I didn't get nearly enough notes.
I
know.
We got an air conditioning.
I know.
I will have him home stripping in and ask him to produce your copy.
Yeah,
It's my pleasure.
DVD tomorrow.
That's fair.
That may be tomorrow.
If you let Mr. Fagan know we need 2 copies, that would be delightful.
Okay, no problem.
We can go like that without any
And
minutes.
David, just one additional thing. Let's verify that if there were any 239 referrals that were required. I don't know if any 239 referrals were required.
Sorry,
to the
language on that?
To the referrals to the county planning department.
Apparently there was one lot, but I don't know which one, Vicky mentioned, that one of the 4 lots was being referred to the county planning board because it was within 500 foot of Route 32, is that correct?
From David Gilmore.
So one of them.
So we'll have to just confirm that the referral was made.
Right, we saw the planning board last week. They had a fairly positive review of the various requests in all their glory. Well, no, in partial glory. They didn't,
You're right,
I guess, have
right.
the full word on the appeals and stuff.
Joe, I'll get you a copy of that too.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to see if the county responded in any way.
I'm making a note.
Okay, now, Katie,
Yes, ma'am.
we have something from, right, we have double Katie's
It's rough,
tonight.
it's rough. It's
We have something from the planner in regard to 7 North Manheim, and we got electronically the sketches. I do not have anything else.
An application.
I don't have an
I have to bring
application,
up
do
a
you?
point here.
No, I don't.
Right, that was one of the points that, hopefully the one I made.
Today's thing is September, not August.
Doesn't feel like it though, does it?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Temperature
Gotcha.
feels like August. And I kept looking for
That's
September. I'm
right,
going,
that's
what's going
right.
on here?
I'm
Right.
gonna have to charge you for an extra meeting.
There you go. Okay.
It's a little zoning board humor.
So,
Okay.
do you have any information for
I
us?
don't, I only appeared as the scribe this evening, assuming that Mr. Gilmore and Mr. Bierney had. I will be intervening in this situation tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much.
Are you in here?
Okay, this is the applicant
I'm representing the applicant.
for 7, and do you have a copy of any formal application?
I do. I can give you those for time being.
And I'm sorry, what was your name?
I'm Michelle Harrington with Niven Homes.
What
Did you
is
say
it?
Harrington?
Harrington, yep.
Michelle Harrington. And you're representing Niffen Homes, and Niffen Homes owns this?
Niven Homes is representing our client Amy Hannes, who was here earlier.
Uh-huh. And how is her name spelled?
AMY
Yep.
HANNES.
Yes, right, okay. So, what is your capacity in this representation? You are
We are
going
the-
to do the work?
Yeah, the work's already been done. We're going to be building a second-story addition, so we're applying for a variance on a side yard setback for a deck that was previously built. Right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, well,
This has been built and now it's asking for a variance?
but we don't have an application for
But we don't have an
variance.
application, so.
Okay.
Do you know if
The
the
application
applicant?
was handed in on the 20th of August.
What's
Here's a
this?
copy.
I didn't get that.
This is my copy.
And
This is
you know
your
if-
application, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. That's
And now, what are you saying, that this has been built and now you're asking for a variance?
Right.
We've had that happen before, haven't we?
That
And,
happened to me.
and Floyd is doing that to try to make everything right.
Right.
And
Right, so we
bring
can start
the
fresh.
property up to date.
Yes.
But we could tell them to tear it down.
Right, and the client is aware of that, so she knows that is a possibility.
Now, was this submitted, did anybody meet with the building inspector, or is this just submitted, does the building inspector know of this? Has
Yep, it was submitted, I
commented?
submitted directly to the building inspector.
Did the building
And
inspector
do we
issue
have
comments
I
on
don't
it?
have any comments on it.
Who did the building without a variance?
The owner,
Who is the owner?
Amy
Amy
Hannes.
Hannes.
Who was the builder? Did
Who
Amy
did the
build it
work?
herself?
That I don't know.
I don't know who built
I
it.
doubt. Don't.
So this was done before you got involved in this?
Right, correct.
Oh, boy.
And you have a copy?
So,
And
yes,
I do not have a copy, but we have no building department
No.
notes on this.
So it's never been inspected or anything else?
Nothing's been done to this point.
Okay, my feeling is that we need to do nothing until we see building inspector's comments and I get a copy of this.
Yeah, everybody gets a copy.
Yeah, I want to look at it too.
Yeah. Joe, do you have any wisdom
No,
for us?
Well, I think you're just right. I mean, it's going back to the basics. Make sure that the building inspector, the applicant has met with the building inspector to determine what the building inspector says needs to be done. So if there was never a notice of violation issued and there's no application, the building inspector, in theory, the building inspector can come back and say, it's okay, you don't need a variance. So that's, you need to get a you need to get a determination from the building inspector before you make the application to the ZBA. Which apparently you've done, but. so
Yeah, I'm
we
just
have-
kind of
we have to
missing
go back.
what more we need to do.
Yeah, I want to know who
Because
did
if
the
we do
building.
the same process again, I'm wondering if next
Who
month
did
we're
the
gonna wind
building?
up here in the same situation.
Well, if you have interaction with the building
Right.
department
Yeah.
and with Katie, and we get all the information we need, you can be on our agenda and we'll start from square one.
Okay,
Contact me directly. I'm the clerk at the village.paltz.org.
okay.
What is the percentage of the variation you're looking for?
Let's say less than 3%.
There's a whole second story put on, wasn't it?
No, it's not a second story that we're going for, it's the deck. There's a back deck that was built, it's 130 square feet. It's encroaching on the variance, on the side yard setback, 7 feet.
So what's that
Well, so if you-
second story thing that's on?
It's
The second story thing is separate.
0.15 acres,
Well,
do you have enough square footage?
We
for the
will
square
know
footage
when you
built?
come back what's up,
All right,
because
yeah.
you will be
I make a
giving us
motion, we table it.
a complete,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed
Okay.
the first act.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Do we need a motion to table it? Yes?
I would make a motion to table it.
I make a
Would you,
motion, we
Joe?
table it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
A
I'll
second?
second it.
Okay, and do you want to discuss it?
Well, you know, this is one of those situations where I want to be sure that all the variances required are being requested.
No, I understand.
Too often we have people coming with one variance when there are several other variances implicit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think, is part of the review that has to be done before we consider it.
Yeah, because this thing wasn't clear. I looked at this and it
Yeah.
just wasn't clear to me.
Right.
I thought they were talking about adding on a second story and blah, blah, blah. but
Well,
obviously
basically, we didn't get an application filled out correctly.
Right.
We didn't get an application at all, but
Just curious, when you went in, did they take an application fee? Did somebody tell you how much escrow you needed to put up?
Nothing about escrow, just application fees were paid already, so everything for the permit and variance were paid.
and did someone do the calculations to make sure that there was just one variance
Yeah,
through the population? So they figured out the square footage of the building, the square footage of the lot, and
yeah,
you were not in violation of that square footage?
no. Excuse me.
Okay.
And have you been to the building, the planning board about anything related to this
No.
project?
No.
Okay.
What is this we have from the planning board? This is what I got.
No, that's not.
This is a site plan special use permit application. That was done in July, but you haven't, and they did, oh, this is extensive. This is for the big,
This is for the Cooper
What's the
Street
planning board
stuff.
application?
So,
I'm curious
but
to
did
see
you get a
what the
special
zoning
use?
board-
Why did you get this?
I have no idea, it's in my pile here.
I'm really sorry, Nikki. I just walked in
I
in
know.
cold and.
Me
Because
too.
the
That's
planning
okay.
board thing is for the Cooper Street stuff.
No, I have one for
She
7
has.
North Mannheim,
No,
a second
that's-
floor
She
addition.
is getting, she's.
That is separate. It's the same property, but
Right.
it's separate. This is kind of like the precursor to that.
Right. Because Floyd wants to get everything straight.
Before
And so
he does this.
Yes,
Right.
this is for the big thing. Why you got a copy, no one knows.
Wow, I'm honored.
They like you best.
So I got a copy of that.
No,
Isn't that the same thing?
How thick is yours, huh?
No.
Mine's thick.
Oh,
Compare it over there, will
yeah,
you?
it is,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Okay, well, I guess maybe you do have it all. Okay.
Well, you're
Sorry,
just the
Vicki.
chairperson, you don't count.
No, that's all right.
Vicki, I am so grateful to you. I'm gonna give you
All
my
right,
copy.
did we get a
Oh,
vote?
no, you keep
Did
it.
we get a vote? Did we get a vote on the
Not
motion
yet.
to table it?
Not yet?
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
any more
I didn't
discussion?
hear it.
Nope.
I'm deaf anyway.
All in
I'm an aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Vicki, would you like to cancel the meeting on the 17th?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that September 17th?
September 17th, we're not canceling it.
Mm-hmm.
but I think we need a motion since we had a motion to put it into place.
Good point. Is there a motion to cancel?
So moved.
Second.
Is there discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn if that's what
No,
you're
no,
looking for.
no.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Okay. So,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Joe would like to talk escrow and other things this evening?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, if you want to enter into closed session for the purposes of legal advice with respect to the application process, somebody can make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? We're moving into executive session?
Closed session.
Closed session.
Closed session.
A difference.
For purposes of discussing legal advice, or
Correct.
receiving legal advice.
Right.
Is it your intention to come out of closed session and make any motions? Do you want to keep the videographer since he and I will both need to leave the room?
Do you want to discuss quickly the assignments thing?
No.
No, okay. Then,
For the closed session, you'd have to leave the meeting open and then reconvene into the public and then close the public meeting. There's nothing that I'm going to discuss that the board is going to act on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no action will be taken.
What's the difference between an executive session and a closed session?
I think we can discuss that during the closed session.
Right. And what is your advice on closing out the videography at this point?
I don't know what your standard procedures are, but I think you can make a record that essentially says we'll be going into closed session, and that when the board returns, it will return only for the purpose of closing the meeting, and that no further action will be taken.
And it's the usual for the Board of Trustees that when those events happen, that they dismiss the videographer at that point. They frequently will dismiss the whatever the scribe is of that meeting and just forward to them what time they close the meeting. But that's entirely your purview, and whatever you'd like to do would be fine.
I think the board should try to be consistent with the village board.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, the village
That's
attorney
right.
and I handle things similarly.
Ah, okay, excellent, excellent. Thanks for being here tonight. Okay.
Okay, you should
So-
pack it up.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the air conditioning as much as I did.
Closed session?
We have closed session
I
and
made the
and
motion.
3 ayes.
we got 3 eyes? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll wait till the videographer and I'll excuse myself at that